All right. Hope everybody's having a good day on your Tuesday. A lot going on in the weather department today. My name is Mr. G. Welcome to Elite Weather as we talk about that weather forecast that we are seeing out there on your Tuesday evening and going into your Wednesday. And the big news is the hurricane down near Florida right now. We're going to be talking about Hurricane Ian tonight, as well as some of the rest of the weather that's taking place across America. And with the exception of Ian, it's actually pretty quiet across most of the country right now. We have those monsoons across portions of the Southwest and some showery and cool weather in the Northeast. But other than that, everybody else across the midsection of the nation toward the Northwest and most of the Southwest are actually doing all right. And let's jump into our forecast right now and take a look at your weather today as we look at some of those current conditions. Here's a look at our radar, and we see our hurricane down here across the state of Florida. And there it is there off the coast of Florida with a lot of heavy rainfall, even at this time, ahead of the hurricane making landfall here, which it will do so sometime during the evening tomorrow night and into the overnight hours towards Thursday morning. We'll be looking at a possible landfall for Hurricane Ian. And we see that showery weather here in the Northeast, and you might be able to see a few specks of monsoonal moisture as well. There are some spotty showers here through portions of the Midwest as we have that cooler air that's working in because we have a frontal boundary across the southeast here, which is going to affect the path that Ian takes, and we'll look at that as well. But let's take a look at their satellite photo. Here's that image of the hurricane, and we see that frontal boundary here is also picking up some of that moisture, and it's going to help our hurricane turn inland here right about Tampa, St. Petersburg. And when this thing first came out, I was thinking that thing is going to hit Tampa, St. Petersburg. And it sure enough is going to hit just to the south of Tampa, St. Petersburg. And then on the West Coast, we have this big, beautiful storm here out west as a very powerful storm is going to be coming onto the West Coast and across the Pacific Northwest and going to be spreading some rainfall over the next couple of days as well. Here is our current temperatures across America right now, and we're seeing those 70s across the state of Florida. We're 79 down there in Miami, 78 at Tampa, St. Petersburg, and 75 in Jacksonville. So we're seeing a lot of 70s down across the Gulf Coast and the Mid-South, some lower to mid-80s as well across the state of Texas and into the state of Oklahoma. But it's very cool across the Northeast and the Great Lakes and the northern plain, where we're seeing those temperatures from the 60s down into the 50s and even the mid 40s in some locations there. But look how warm it is out west, even at this late hour. 90 degrees out there in Spokane, Washington. Also in Boise, 93 degrees. 93 degrees. We're seeing very warm weather across the interior portions of the Pacific Northwest, there across the inland valleys of Washington and Oregon, and also down across the drylands of Idaho. So we're seeing that as well. And we're seeing it warm across the state of California, those 90s and up through the mid 80s through the Central Valley, 90 down in LA, 74 in San Diego. San Diego always seems to be immune to those Santa Ana winds, but we're seeing the offshore flow around the LA area, and we're seeing our heat down there through Phoenix and Vegas and the eastern deserts of Southern California. And here we are as we talk about the severe weather. And the only real severe weather is down here in Florida, where our hurricane is going to be with that potential for some severe weather, where we could see some tornadoes and that heavy rain that could drop as much as 20 inches of rain across the state of Florida during the lifespan of this hurricane. And here we are with tomorrow's severe weather outlook again for that hurricane and that heavy rain as well, and that potential for tornadoes in those outer bands of the hurricane. We could see some tornadoes intermixed in that. And here we are again. Our storm is now going to be a tropical storm on Thursday as it moves across the state of Florida toward the East Coast. So it's going to move back out over the Atlantic, but we could still see those outer bands with that severe weather and that potential for tornadoes. And we'll see those thunderstorms through the desert Southwest as well, down there in Arizona, where we're going to be seeing those monsoon storms also continuing through the Four Corners and up into the northern Rockies. Here's our tropical outlook. We got a lot to talk about. We don't want to make this a very long video. We're going to keep this moving because I do have schoolwork that I need to get to if I want to finish this degree. And here we are with our hurricane. And we have a major hurricane that we are working with right now with winds up to 120 miles per hour is those maximum sustained winds at this hour. And it is currently moving to the north and expected to make landfall during the nighttime hours tomorrow night. So it's going to be about 6 to 8 p.m. Our hurricane will make landfall there just south of Tampa, St. Petersburg, and it's going to be a Category 4 hurricane at the time that it makes landfall. So we are talking about a very serious situation. Please, if you're in the state of Florida, get your plans together, emergency supplies, water, emergency food, batteries, medical supplies. I know some folks that follow me on other platforms, TikTok, somebody said that they have their chainsaw ready. So if you have access to a chainsaw, most definitely get that. Tools, hammers, nails, anything like that you're going to be using to clear brush out with some kind of work. So you might have to do clearing roads, and trees definitely going to come down. You're going to be dealing with storm surge. A 12-foot storm surge is going to be possible along the Gulf Coast there across western Florida and through Tampa down to Naples and Fort Myers. You're going to be dealing with the potential for a 12-foot storm surge and winds in excess of 115 miles per hour and up to 20 inches of rain. So here we are as we take a look at what our hurricane is looking like here, and you can see it that it crosses over that parallel there, and it's going to be starting to move a little bit toward due north there. It was coming up toward the northwest, but now it's starting to make its turn toward the northeast slightly, and you can see the eye wall there as that hurricane is tightening. As you see, our eye is getting smaller. That's an indication of very intensive, very rapid intensification is what I'm trying to say. So you see our eye wall is getting really small. That's indicating our storm is strengthening. And you see the outflow bands here. You see that outflow. This is a very good hurricane with very good inflow here. We see a lot of inflow coming. In this region here is where we're going to be seeing our severe thunderstorms down here across southeastern Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and the Palm Beaches, Pompano Beach as well, all the way up to Jacksonville. We're going to be dealing with the potential for some severe weather. We're going to be seeing our tornadoes in this region as well, as we see that convection out there across the east coast of Florida as moving to the north there as our hurricane. The overall big picture of our hurricane is it's making its way towards the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. And if you are in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area, and if you're along the west coast of Florida, you're looking at a 12-foot storm surge. So we have a very large storm surge that's expected to hit that area. And we are going to be seeing that storm with those strong winds. But the stronger part of the storm is going to be to the east of the eye. So if you're going to be on the right side of the eye, the storm is kind of hitting you from the worst position that it could possibly come from, because of that flow coming from the south. It's going to bring that water from the storm surge and lift that water up and take it onto the shore, coming at you from the southwestern side of the storm. So a very serious situation down there across the state of Florida. Here's the storm's projected path here, and we're seeing that we have a little bit of a frontal boundary across the southeast that has dropped down to the south, and it is kind of affecting the path of our tropical system here and making it turn a little bit to the northeast because of that frontal boundary that's coming from the west. So we have an extra tropical weather system to the west that's influencing the direction that our tropical storm is taking, as well as the positioning of the Bermuda High out over the Atlantic, and it's allowing for our storm to veer to the right. So these stronger hurricanes tend to veer in their path. They like to veer toward the right as they move ahead. And as we're seeing right now, we're at 979 millibars, and it's going to drop down to about 974 millibars. This is the surface barometric pressure, and that's going to be in 24 hours. And in 72 hours, once our storm makes it to near the Jacksonville area, we're going to be looking at our storm diminishing to a tropical storm, where it was going to be 988 millibars. Now, just because your storm might be weakening and it gets to Jacksonville, you still could be dealing with a tropical storm, at least a tropical storm or a strong tropical storm. And there is a chance that it's going to move out over the Atlantic. As you look at a lot of these forecast models, have it going back out over the Atlantic, and it can certainly move back out over the water here and re-strengthen and re-energize and make it back to hurricane strength, and then possibly make landfall again across Cape Hatteras here in North Carolina. So we're going to be dealing with that tropical storm for a few more days here yet. And here we are as we take a look at the notes from the National Weather Service, and their key messages for Hurricane Ian is: this is a life-threatening storm surge, and it is increasingly likely along the Florida West Coast, where a storm surge warning is in effect, with the highest risk from Naples to Sarasota region. Residents in these areas should listen to advice given by local officials and follow any evacuation orders. And I think there is an evacuation order in place in these regions. Hurricane force winds are expected in the hurricane warning area in the southwest and west central Florida beginning Wednesday morning, with tropical storm conditions expected overnight, with devastating wind damage also expected near the core of Ian. Residents should rush all preparations to completion. Heavy rain will also affect most of the Florida peninsula for the next several days. And you can see it is going to spread to the rest of the southeast U.S. by Thursday and Friday, likely causing flash urban and small stream flooding. Considerable flooding is expected, with widespread, prolonged, moderate to major river flooding expected across central Florida. All right, so as we talk about, here is what the watches and warning. We have hurricane watches and hurricane warnings across the entire state of Florida. We have flood warnings and flood watches as well. So this is where we at. And this dark blue right here is a hurricane watch in place across the west coast of Florida, as well as across just north of Daytona Beach, Cape Canaveral, up in this region, also under a hurricane watch across the state of Florida. So we have tropical storm watches and tropical storm warnings across in hurricane watch across from Fort Myers up to Cedar Key in Florida. And here we are with the radar now. This is the current live radar across the state of Florida. And you're seeing all that heavy rain, those rain bands coming up with those embedded thunderstorms. This here is indicative of a possible severe thunderstorm and or tornado. So we have very wicked weather across the state of Florida right now. Even now, and you can see the bands of the hurricane right about there, the top layers there, and we have these inflow bands here. This is where our severe weather is taking place. So we got very big thunderstorms here across the Everglades and Central Florida, and those guys are rotating toward the northwest and will eventually be making it across the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. Now here we are with the forecast for Wednesday as well as into Wednesday night there, and we were seeing those temperatures tomorrow about 75 to 85 degrees there, and we're going to be under those cloudy skies with those hurricane conditions. You see a 70% chance of rain to the north, but down 100% down there in Fort Myers tomorrow, as we're going to have hurricane conditions likely across this region of Florida tomorrow. Here is a look at the radar now and the hurricane and its projected path. And we are looking at a Category 3 hurricane at this time. Ian is a Category 3, and tomorrow will intensify and will be Category 4 once it makes landfall. And once it makes landfall, it will be a Category 4 hurricane, and eventually moving up to near Daytona Beach, where it will be a strong tropical storm. Here we are as we take a look at the rainfall forecast in inches, and this blue right here is as much as 15 to 20 inches of rainfall here across the Tampa Bay here, as well as into nearly Orlando and up towards the north central Florida here. We're going to be seeing up to 20 inches of rainfall. Here we are as we're talking about the wind speeds here, and this is where we're going to be seeing the flash flood potential, and we have a 70% chance of seeing flash flooding here across north central to central Florida, which includes Orlando, Tampa Bay, and Jacksonville. So a lot of big cities could have that potential of flooding from heavy rain and storm surge. And we're going to be seeing that moderate chance for storm surge down through South Florida. This is at least a 40% chance here and a 40% chance here across North Florida. It drops to a 15% chance across southeastern Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. Here is our storm surge, and we're looking at a storm surge of at least 9 feet above sea level here, above the ground. So over the ground, we have at least a 9-foot storm surge right here from Naples down to Fort Myers and the Florida Keys. We're going to be looking at least up to a 12-foot storm surge with this hurricane, as a lot of this low-lying land here is going to easily get inundated by some of that ocean water as it comes on shore. That hurricane is just going to lift that water and carry it onto the shore. It doesn't come up like big waves. It's more like a column, and it just rises up much like it does during high tide. You're not going to really see it come on shore as waves. It's just going to be a water column that just rises and comes over the coastline and goes inland as far as it possibly can. So we're going to be looking at that storm surge situation. And here is our tropical storm force wind probabilities. We're going to be looking at those 90% chance of winds at least 40 miles per hour in this cone right here in this region from September 27, 2 p.m. from 2 p.m. Tuesday from today to 2 p.m. on Sunday. This area right here has a 90% chance of at least seeing those tropical storm force winds. So this could also going to be the area that experiences those category 4 hurricane force winds as well. Here is the winds when our tropical storm force winds are expected to arrive, and this is 2 p.m. tonight at 8 p.m. Then we have Wednesday at 2 a.m. Then by Wednesday at 8 a.m. is going to be passing just to the north of Tampa, St. Petersburg, near to Orlando. And then by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, it's going to be near Jacksonville. And then by Wednesday, 8 p.m., we have Savannah, Georgia, and Myrtle Beach by 8 a.m. on Thursday. And then 8 p.m. on Thursday, those tropical storm winds, force winds will arrive near the North Carolina, South Carolina state line. All right, here's your weather forecast, and here's our national outlook. Here is our hurricane down there across Florida. We're looking at Hurricane Ian right now, and hurricane conditions will be expected across the state of Florida. And you see this frontal boundary right here? We have this frontal boundary in place, and this is going to cause our hurricane to veer toward the northeast here. It's going to increase its northeast axis, is this frontal boundary here. Now, this frontal boundary might get pushed back to the north a little bit. Hurricanes do not have driving energy. They are influenced by what's going on around them. So the hurricane does not have the ability to push our front out of the way. It's going to go with wherever those prevailing currents or air currents are directing it to. And then we have another front in the northeast that's going to spread some cool, showery weather up there and in portions of the Great Lakes. Our monsoons across the southwest tomorrow. We're going to be seeing some scattered thunderstorms through portions of Arizona and California, all the way through eastern Nevada, Utah, and central and far northern New Mexico. And then we have another storm system, a nice occluded front coming onto the west coast, and that's going to spread cooler weather and some rain showers tomorrow as well. And as we, do we only get one day? I guess we only get one day. So that's just tomorrow. Okay, we have Wednesday, and we know, okay, all right, that's what we get. I guess what I only did for Wednesday. And that's what's important, is what is going to be going on tomorrow, because we can do another one of these. If I think that will probably be warranted, is another one of these live broadcasts. So that is today's weather forecast and our coverage of the hurricane down in Florida and some of the other things that's going on across America. My name is Mr. G. Thanks for watching me, guys, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.